Do you think that happiness and comfort are the same thing? When you wake up every single morning and you hear your dreaded alarm, I think you have to make a choice between comfort and happiness. Comfort is snoozing the alarm, taking the extra time in bed, maybe checking your notifications and reading the morning's news.
Fake news.
Comfort is staying warm and cozy, where you cannot be confronted with the difficulties of the outside world.
Is everything okay?
But happiness, to me, is something quite different. Happiness is the willingness to leave the comfort of your warm bed and start the day courageously, to overcome the desire to stay where you are and embrace the potential challenges of the day. And this disparity between what's comfortable and what makes our life feel worth living is what I'm calling the comfort conundrum. And if you can understand this idea, it might just change the way you think about mental health. I think if we were to plot a graph of life satisfaction on the y-axis and level of comfort on the x-axis, we'd get some kind of bell curve that looks like this. You don't want too little comfort because that's just traumatic, right? That's being in war or being homeless or having a serious illness. But you also don't want too much comfort because that is the state of being comfortably numb. And that phrase terrifies me.
Is there anyone home?
This is where you have everything you could physically need and more, but you just aren't truly happy. You aren't truly fulfilled because you're not being challenged, and therefore you're not growing. We can scroll TikTok endlessly on our phones, with pornography on our laptops and Netflix on our TVs, with meals being delivered to our home, sat on a sofa that we Amazon Primed yesterday. Now obviously that's quite an extreme image, but you get the point that I'm making. The comfort conundrum is the fact that somewhere along the line, as a culture, we started valuing comfort over true life satisfaction and fulfillment. And I'm aiming with this video to untangle that lie and provide some kind of solution. Today, I want us to think about the comfort zone as a symbol for who you are right now. This means it contains all of what you know, what you've experienced and become used to, your desires and your hopes, your strengths and your weaknesses. Therefore, what sits outside that comfort zone is pretty much limitless potential. Potential of who you could be and how your life could go. Now, you can just sit in the comfort zone of who you already are and probably live the rest of your whole life there. But as the wise Theo Von once said,
"'Cause yeah, nothing changes and nothing changes, man."
And we can see this at the brain level. When you move outside of what you know and have new experiences that might be uncomfortable, the brain is forced to reorganize itself in a process known as neuroplasticity. Also, your brain feeds off the feeling of progress. Moving towards a desired goal, which requires discomfort, is one of the most reliable sources of positive emotion. Our dopamine system literally feeds off the incentive for a future reward, like an achieved goal. Put simply, some discomfort means some neuroplasticity, which means some kind of growth is occurring, which means we experience some kind of positive emotion. This sounds great, doesn't it? Right? And it would be so good if it was just as simple as you hearing what I say, having this great revelation, and then everything changes. But I know from personal experience that it is just not as simple as that. But now I'm going to tell you a story about a frog. And you've got to trust me that this is going somewhere good and it will expand on the point I'm trying to make. Imagine for a moment that we are in the south of France, in the kitchen of a pretty established fine dining restaurant. The head chef is just about to cook the starter of tonight's meal, and the preparation for this requires cooking a frog alive. The chef discovers that if he tries to put the frog straight into the boiling water, it will simply jump out to avoid a painful death. But if the frog is first put in cold water, which is then slowly heated up to boiling, it will not notice the gradual change in temperature and will be slowly boiled alive. Playing it safe, remaining in the comfort zone, is potentially the biggest risk you could possibly take. Doing what everyone else does will likely lead you to low life satisfaction overall. Looking specifically at the USA as an example,
Don't be rude.
the average person is obese with less than 1K in the bank and on prescription medication. Now that is a dark reality, and to me that sounds like a frog being slowly boiled alive. And of course that is a very big overgeneralization, but the point I'm trying to make is that throughout your life there will be a feeling that you should conform to what everyone else does. It's that classic stay in your lane feeling that I bet most of us have experienced. But doing what most other people do, valuing comfort over true fulfillment and never peering beyond the walls of who you are to see who you could be, is pretty dangerous. You'll be told that staying where you are is the safe thing to do. But was it safe for the frog in cold water being slowly heated up? No. So you have to be the frog that jumps out of the pot. Now let's go over how we can be actionable to exit our comfort zone and expand what we are capable of. There's a specific part of the brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, or AMC for short, that becomes active when we do undesired hard things, i.e. when we leave the zone of comfort. Now the AMC is an absolutely fascinating brain region because not only does it become active when you do these hard things, it also becomes larger the more you push yourself regularly out of your comfort zone. Research has recently found that the AMC of obese people is smaller than average, and the AMC of athletes is larger than average. And perhaps most interestingly, the AMC of people who live a long time is larger than average, which led these researchers to conclude that not only is this brain region associated with willpower, but actually the will to live at all. So what I'm going to propose to try and solve the comfort conundrum in our own lives is to enlarge our AMC by increasing our discomfort capacity, i.e. how much we can endure undesired hard things on a regular basis. In a way, it's like microdosing difficulty on a daily basis to expand what you're capable of and find that growth that your brain feeds off. Using myself as an example, I absolutely despise ab workouts and I absolutely despise cardio and conditioning, but I know they are both things that are good for me, so I just try and push myself to do them. In the same way, sometimes I sit down at my desk and I really just do not want to work, but most of the time I try and just show up and do what needs to be done. Through doing this, I am confronting the undesired things that move my life forward. It puts me in that optimal zone of the graph that I showed you at the beginning. It gradually enlarges my AMC and therefore my will to live and life satisfaction. And what that actually feels like, I think, is one of the most gratifying feelings you can experience in your life. Taking on challenges and growing, although it's hard, are actually some of the things that give us the most meaning and purpose in our life. So I encourage you, after everything that you've seen in this video, to increase your own discomfort capacity. And what that looks like will be unique to you and not something that I can just simply prescribe in a YouTube video. But I hope that I've shown you at least one thing, and that is that playing it safe, staying in the state of being comfortably numb, is not something that we should be aiming for, and that you and I and everyone else around us are capable of so much more than that. There's a quote by an incredibly intelligent human being that says, "That which you most want to find is where you least want to look." Now that's a modern paraphrase of the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung's work from the early 20th century, but I think it sums up the entire message of this video. That which you most want to find, i.e. meaning and satisfaction and happiness in life, is found where you least want to look, i.e. beyond the walls of your own comfort zone, beyond the limits of who you currently are. If you want to figure out the specific behaviors that give you that sense of meaning in your own life, then you can watch this video here, where I show a process where you can decipher the behaviors that improve your mental health and the behaviors that you do that are just a distraction from what truly matters. So I'll see you guys over there. Thank you so much for watching.